The lattice algorithm for addition is really useful when you've got two really long numbers that you're trying to add. So what we're going to do here when we add, we're going to draw these boxes, which I've already got drawn on the screen, and then I'm going to put some diagonals in these boxes from the top right corner to the bottom left corner. And I'm going to switch colors here. All right, now what I'm going to do is just add in each place. So I have 7 plus 8 is 15. I'm going to put my 10s in the top of my rectangle and my 1s in the bottom. So I have 1 5 there. 6 plus 7 is 13. 5 plus 6 is 11. And 3 plus 5 is 8. So 0 10s and 8 1s. Now, when you're doing the lattice algorithm, you're going to add down the diagonals. Okay, so when I add down these diagonals, I get 5 here, 4, 2, 9, and then 0. So my answer is 9,245. All right, let's look at another example. I want to add 5,767 plus 4,986. Okay, so I'm going to draw the boxes. So I've got 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to draw the diagonals. And I'm going to switch colors again just so you can tell what's going on. Okay, so when I add 7 plus 6, I get 13. 6 plus 8 is 14. 7 plus 9 is 16. And 5 plus 4 is 9. And again, I want to add down the diagonals. If it helps you to do like I'm doing and use a highlighter, please feel free. Let's go back to red. Okay, so when I add down my diagonals, I'm going to get a 3 here, a 4, 7, and 10. So if you get a 2-digit number, you're going to carry it. So you still need to start from the right. You'd carry it up into the diagonal, the next diagonal. Okay, so I get 10,743. All right, so that's called the lattice algorithm. This is really nice because when they're starting, your kids don't actually even have to add in the columns in order, right? They could have started on the left-hand side and added 5 plus 4, 7 plus 9, 6 plus 8, and then 7 plus 6. Of course, when they start adding down their diagonals, they really do need to start on the right. All right, the scratch algorithm is really useful if you're adding a bunch of 2-digit numbers. So here I have 3 2-digit numbers that I'm going to add. And the idea here is that I'm going to start at the top, and every time I make a 10, I'm going to scratch for the 10 and then put the ones off to the right. So here I'm going to first add 7 plus 5. I get 12, so I scratch for the 10. That's why I scratched the 5. And then I put the 2 off to the side. All right. Then I'm going to add 2 plus 9. 2 plus 9 is 11, so I scratch for the 10 and add the 1 down. There's nothing left here, so I'm going to put that 1 down below, and then I'm going to count my scratches. I have 1, 2 scratches, so I'm going to carry the 2 up in my tens place. And now I'm just going to repeat. So now I have 2 plus 8, that's 10. So I scratch for the 10 and put the 0 down. I add 0 plus 6, that's 6, so I just have 6 right now. I'm going to add 6 plus 4, that's 10, so I scratch for the 10 and 0 ones. And so that's my last number, so that 0 goes down below, and again I count my scratches. I have 1, 2, and I carry those up above. So I have 2 in the hundreds place, and there's nothing else in the hundreds place, so that just gets brought down below. So my final answer is 201. Okay. All right, let's try it again. I'm going to add 28 plus 75 plus 59. And again, I'm going to switch colors just so you can better see what's happening. Okay, so I'm going to start by adding 8 plus 5. I get 13. So I scratch for the 10 and put my ones down. There are 3 ones. Then I add 3 plus 9. That's 12. So I'm going to scratch for the 10 and put the 2 down. and then I put my 2 down in my ones place. I count my scratches. I have 1, 2, and I carry them up in the tens place. I'm going to add 2 plus 2, that's 4. Now I'm going to add 4 plus 7, that's 11. I'm going to scratch for the 10 and put my 1 down below. Now I have 1 plus 5, that's 6. And I'm going to count my scratches. I have 1 scratch, that gets carried, and that will get pulled down below since there's nothing else in the hundreds place. So my final answer is 162. All right, column addition. So the idea here is that we're going to add the numbers in each column, and we're going to write our sum directly below, and then we'll regroup the columns one at a time. This is really helpful when you're using base 10 blocks. I'm going to let you look at the example in the book that does this. I'm just going to do it without the blocks. So let's try an example. 684. And actually, let me space, whoops, oh no. Space things out a little bit so that we can see what's going on. So I'm going to think of hundreds, tens, and ones. So I've got 6 hundreds, 8 tens, and 4 ones, plus 3 hundreds, 7 tens, and 9 ones. Okay, so there are my columns. I'm going to add in my columns. So 4 plus 9 is 13, 8 plus 7 is 15, and 6 plus 3 is 9. And now I'm going to regroup. So if I regroup, I have 13 ones. I can add one of those ones, add 10 of those ones together to make a 10. So I'm going to be left with 3 ones, and I'm going to add an extra 10, so I have 16 tens now and still 9 hundreds. And I'm just going to repeat. So now I'm going to look at those 16 tens. I can combine 10 of those to make a 100. So I'm going to add one to my hundreds. That's 10. And I'm left with 6. And so technically I could do this one more time, right? When I have 10 hundreds, that's really, 1,000. So I have thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. I had 3 ones, 6 tens, and I had 10 hundreds. I'm going to regroup those as 1,000 with 0 hundreds. So my final answer is 1,063. Okay, so that's the column addition. The opposite change algorithm, the idea here is that we want to change the problem into an easier problem for the kiddos to understand. So kids are usually better at adding when they're adding a multiple of 10. So for example, if I want to add 189 plus 422, well, they might say, well, 189 is really close to 190, right? So if I add 1 here, that gets me to 190, which is a little bit of a nicer number. But if I'm going to add 1 to 189, I need to do the opposite to 422. So I'm going to subtract 1 to get 421. And now 190 is pretty close to 200, which would be even nicer to add. So I'm going to add 10 to that to get to 200. But I want to do the opposite to my other number. So I'm going to subtract 10. That's 411. And now they've turned it into a problem that is a little bit easier to add. It doesn't involve any carrying, right, or regrouping. So I get 200 plus 411. That's a little bit easier to handle. I get 611. Now you should look in your book. There's an example of a school page where they have the students do this, and they call it compensation. So that's another description of this.